For our third project stage, we have formed a design brief for building developers looking to build high-density residences based on the research we have collected from the following question. What are the social impacts of high and low-density living? With this question, we came up with three distinct claims and tested these hypotheses. To start, Hypothesis 1. Residents interact more with their neighbors in high-density housing. Despite our expectations, we found that there was no visible difference in the volume of interactions between neighbors in high and low-density residences from our sample, thus proving our null hypothesis. This suggests that people interact with others using more criteria than just general proximity. Hypothesis 2. The frequency of social drinking is visibly greater in higher density housing. Here we saw a clear and distinctive change in the volume of social drinking. Negative associations aside, this demonstrates a positive social impact of higher density living in comparison to lower suburban homes, and we supported our initial hypothesis. Hypothesis 3. Residents go on social excursions more frequently while living in high density housing. Once again, after collecting the results from our sample, we saw a clear increase with higher density residences. Taking the fact that there was no real increase in neighborly interaction, we deduced that social activity was not due to general vicinity alone, but due to the closeness of shared areas that could be used to facilitate social events such as parks, cafes, and pubs. With this in mind, the design outcome was as follows. From this research, we concluded that a safe, nearby area to facilitate social activities outside of one's home would be a prudent course of action. With this in mind, we advocate that builders add a simple extra feature to improve the social and community aspects of their residential buildings, allowing them to form buildings for living as opposed to simply for habitation. Said features would probably be a ground floor bar or drinking lounge, which would involve minimal extra costs for high social impacts. This ground floor bar would be targeted at residents aged 18 and over, would provide residents with an out-of-home place to relax, socialize and unwind, would be easily accessible and highly visible to residents and guests. This is a proven concept in early 20th and late 19th century residences and modern hotels. This would have minimal additional building costs and a high positive social impact. Lower upkeep costs can be expected from a drinking lounge compared to a bar, and strong positive impacts on the volume of social activities would be backed by our research. To give you an understanding of how this might work in a real-life context, we've come up with the following scenario. Stephen, after a hard day of domestic servitude, wishes to unwind and reflect on a productive day. On the bottom floor of his apartment block is a bar, close by and welcoming. He decides to pay a visit. Soon, Steve runs into an old friend, Simon, and makes new mates as the night goes on. After repeated positive experiences, the ground floor bar becomes a hub of the bustling residential community and a springboard for future events.